Hey Surveys, welcome back to K-Popsicles. Woo! Super excited. We're continuing our newest segment, Who's Your Bias? So last week we our last episode 4, we did our girls Dreamcatcher. And now we're heading into our next boy group on our list, and that is our boys Monsta X. So, if you guys don't know about any of our Monsta X stuff, they pretty much they were one of the few groups we started the channel with. It was BTS, ATEEZ, and Monsta X. Mainly us talking about the concert we were supposed to go to with Monsta X that never.
It got canceled.
So sad.
After a few years of
After almost 3 years of waiting, and then we were like a week away, and then they're like, it's canceled. Sad face. Moving on. But yes, no, this is our boys Monsta X, and we have done so much Monsta X content on our channel. We checked out a bunch of solo stuff. So we're super excited to get into this week's Who's Your Bias? Alrighty, so first up, our biases. Now, if you've been on, like I said, if you've been on the channel for any length of time, you've seen any of our videos, especially our recent videos when checking out his solo stuff. Kihyun, our main vocalist, he is my bias. So, the thing with Kihyun was he always stood out to me a lot. But originally he wasn't my bias. It was actually Wonho. And she got into them later than I did. I got in literally when they were doing their No Mercy reality show, the survival show. And so I came in like watching them on the show and was like picking my favorites, like who's gonna win, who's gonna, be in the group and all that. And Wonho always was like standing out to me. Obviously everybody knows who Wonho is. But somewhere along the line, I don't know exactly when it happened. I just on the show I noticed him, obviously, and I loved his voice. And then it just like slowly more and more, I just was noticing him, and I'm like, who is this man? I need to know more.
Your name?
And so I finally fell down that rabbit hole, and then obviously after No Mercy, and a few comebacks in, I guess, for Monsta X, it just came to the point where I was like, I gotta stand this man. Not only do I he's my bias. I always am looking for him. I'm always super excited whenever he comes on screen. So he's the bias. And so that's kind of how he slowly became the bias. And then when I started watching some of the reality show stuff, that's when he really cemented his spot. Because I'm like, his personality is so cute and so funny. And he's also got this kind of reserved side. He's a little bit more mature in a lot of stuff, but he's also super fun too. So I'm like, I like him. I like him a lot. And yeah, so that's how Kihyun became my bias. Who's your bias?
My official bias is Jihoon.
Mm-hmm.
I went through quite a few potential biases.
Yes, you did.
When I first got into Monsta X, I was with Drama,
and
I was obsessed with the dance practice, and I think it was Shonu who caught my attention at first.
Mm-hmm.
But then it ended up obviously not being Shonu, because then my attention went to Kihyun and Hyungwon.
Yep. And that they were I remember you were struggling with them for a long time. You were going back and forth.
And then we finally watched the guide, and they're like, nope, I'm picking Jihoon.
We finally went to the guide, and then we got more into their new albums.
You don't choose your bias chooses
exactly.
you.
I always say he's my bias right off the bat for certain groups. I'm like, who are you? They'll get my attention.
You just know.
Yeah.
But others, it's a little hard to choose bias.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't want to admit that they're your bias because you're like, I don't want to fall into that trope of the same type of personality, same kind of position and stuff. Because if you've been on here, my main type of biases usually are deep voice rappers, singers, and dancers. So
leaders
and maknaes as well. That goes along with that. That's usually the kind of stuff I find myself falling into, but you also don't want to limit yourself because then you're missing out on other people. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you don't want to admit that somebody's your bias because you're I'm gonna give everybody else a chance, like what happened with Huyoung. I'm it took 3 or 4 songs for me to be okay, I admit. I admit it, I'm always pointing you out. So I understand that too, because I'm I just remember every time we would watch Monsta X stuff, she'd be like, oh my god, Hyungwon looks so good, and like she's like, oh my god, Kihyun's voice, and we'd be talking about it. And then it wasn't until like their newest couple of albums that you really were like, Juhan though. I was like, I know, right?
Moving his way up in the world.
And then we watched the Monsta X concert, not concert, the album movie for The Dreaming, and that's when she's like, I think Juhan's my bias. Like, it kind of just hit, and I was like, yeah, I think so too at this point.
It's happening. Just accept it.
Just deal with it. Just let it happen. So yes, Juhan. He's a fine man. He's a fine man.
Rap. He can dance. He can sing.
He's an
ace.
The ace. I
always go through the aces.
You really do, honestly. Moving on to bias wreckers. So I don't know if I think we might share the bias wrecker possibly.
I am.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I thought so because I'm like I know he's been a problem for both of us, but I didn't know if we actually like full on record, shared him. So yeah, our wrecker is I am. The Maknae, of course, the rapper Maknae is a problem for us. To be honest, I don't really know when he like became an issue because I'm like I remember when I like all through pretty much almost up until I would say like follow era, he never really attacked me like that. And then like something happened around follow era, and all of a sudden I was like,
that's when he started wrecking me
right,
too.
like something happened, and I don't like he must have grown up a little. Like I
think it was his rap.
I think so. Like something just changed, and I was like, hi, because honestly, once I like cemented Kihyun as the bias, I like kept Wonho as like a wrecker, but then like Juhan was also a wrecker, but it was mostly Shonu. And I was like, ugh. And I didn't like have a set wrecker. And then, like I said, like Follower happened, and I was like, okay, so you're the problem? Okay. And then it went from problem to wrecker, and so yeah, he's just the issue now. I just call him the issue at this point because I just don't know what else to do with him. I'm like,
put him in the corner.
Right. And I say like he grew up or whatever, but I'm like, we're the same age. He was born in 96, I was born in 96. But technically they consider him part of the 95 line because he was born in early January because of the Lunar New Year and all that. Mm-hmm. So he's technically, from their point of view, part of the 95 line, but we literally were born the same year. And it's just like I always feel weird to say that he grew up, but I'm like, he's the Maknae, so it always makes me like
he's the
baby,
Maknae, but he's like a mature Maknae.
Yeah, and he is a very mature kind of person, young. Basically. He has a very mature kind of side to him. Like, obviously, I've seen enough variety content to know how Maknae-like he can be and how baby he is for a lot of stuff. But then, like, you put him on stage or, like, in a music video and you're like, calm down, sir. And like you said, Follower was really when he got you too.
Yeah, it was. For me, it was his rap, so that's why I said it was probably his rap for you. Because, like, the I bit he did in the rap.
Oh, the little, like, rasp.
Okay, I guess you're my record now, I am.
It's like it just hits you all at once.
It just hits you, and you're like...
so okay. We're here now. We're here now. Okay.
We're doing this.
And, like I said, I think from that time on, it was just, like, every video, every song I watched, like, something was, like, changed. Like, he got more... I don't know if it was more aggressive or, like... It just seemed like a danger era about him that got worse and worse as time went on, and I'm like, calm down. Like, I can't deal with you. But yeah, so that's our record, guys. The problem child. Moving on to our favorite title tracks. Now, this one was hard for me. It honestly was, because I have loved every single title track they have put out. And I was like really, really struggling to pick which one. I was like, but they're all so good. And then this one in particular, the reason I picked it, not only is it an amazing song, but it was actually my top stream song of last year, which I thought was really interesting on my Spotify, that this was like my top song. I was like, I did not expect
it's your favorite.
I was like, I listened to it that much out of all the music I listened to, like, dang. But yeah, so my favorite title track is Love Killa. Something about this song, I think it's the fact that they kind of use, like, horror movie motifs for the music video. Like, you had Juhan as the Joker in it, you had I Am being the problem that he is, not Juhan, sorry, I already said Juhan. Shonu and Minhyuk look so good. Minhyuk with that blonde hair, Seungwon with the long black hair, the red jacket, the glasses, everything. And then, of course, my bias, Kihyun, was literally a Hannibal in the freaking, like, cuffed up into the whole, like, jail cell. Like, everything about this aesthetic of the video and the song itself was so, so good. It kept up their style of, like, that aggressive, just hard hitting pop, but it was also just really, really catchy. And yeah, so that Love Killa is definitely my favorite title track. What's yours?
Gambler.
Oh,
So it used to be drama for
Mhm.
like the longest
literally
time.
like until like for the song you
Literally-
got in, yeah.
Literally until Gambler came out. I'm like, that's my new favorite.
That's another good one.
It is. It has the best bridge ever. That bridge is amazing.
So good. One of my favorite parts of that song is the end where they're just going off, and then you have Juhan coming in, and he's going off, and then Heehyun comes right after him, and they're going off.
And, like,
Yeah, and they're like the raspy growl, and they're like ah.
It's so good. It's so catchy too.
It's so catchy. Oh. Like I said, we are big stans of Monsta X, and I have listened and loved like almost every single song. I think there's like maybe one, if that I was like not a huge fan of.
I haven't really listened to many of their B-sides, so we'll see
See?
if that's like that for me.
See, we gotta get you more into B-sides. See, this is what happens. You get me more into girls. Like, after we watch title tracks, you're like, but you gotta hear this B-side. I was like, okay.
Yeah, because
I did the same for you.
girl groups, you only watch the title track. I listened to the full album.
Yeah, and then, like, when we watch boy groups, it's like, you generally only listen to title tracks, and then you move on.
For me, it depends on the group. Like, if
It's like, if you're
BTS,
standing, yeah, if it's somebody, like, you full-on stan, you're like, I'll listen to all their songs.
I'd probably listen to, like, Stray Kids B-sides, too.
Mm-hmm. But, so yeah, I definitely have to get her more into their B-sides, because you guys know, if you know Monsta X, their B-sides slap. Their B-sides slap so hard. Oh my god. Honestly, if we did a whole separate video on just, like, their English albums, because, trust me,
They got a lot of English songs.
their English songs, the innuendos in their lyrics, and what's really funny is I'm trying to explain their English lyrics. That's what I love about it.
They're trying to pretend they're innocent. You're not innocent.
We know what it means.
We know you're not innocent.
But it's really funny. Like I said, we could do an entire episode on just, like, my favorite English title track and my favorite English B-side. But encompassing all of that, we're like, no, we're just gonna do this. But there's a few of their B-sides. One of my favorite English songs of theirs is Love You. And this song literally is saying, you know what I mean when I say I love you, but I can't say the words I want to because I'm not allowed to. So it's like, I want to love you instead, but it's like,
We know.
you know what they're
We
saying.
know. We're not dumb.
And then, of course, the iconic Monster truck.
Yeah.
I just remember that interview clip of them talking about it. It was just so funny. But anyway, moving on. My favorite B-side. This one was actually not very hard for me. This song has been my absolute like, if Love Killa wasn't, like, if this was a title track
If
song,
Love Killa didn't exist.
if Love Killa didn't exist and this one was the title track, it would have been my number one all time, like, no, like, hands down. I listen to it constantly. It is one of those songs that it just hits so hard and so different. And that is their song Destroyer. It was honestly super close to hitting crap, what's the name of the song? Lost in the Dream was another one that I was, like, super close to saying it's up there. But Destroyer is the number one B-side I listen to. It's on almost all of my K-pop playlists. I love this song so much. If you guys have not heard it or, like, listened to it, checked it out. The kind of, like, atmospheric siren synth sound of it meets, like, rock. And it's such a good song. It's so good. I love it. Plus, they have a little mini film, like, MV for it, because it was supposed to be like a mini film for the album, and their tour and stuff like that. And it's a lot of storyline in that. If you like storyline, you want to fall down the Monsta X rabbit hole, this is definitely on their storyline list. Your favorite B-side?
I chose The Dreaming.
Oh, that's so good.
It is.
And it's all their newest album. Well,
yeah.
one of their newest albums.
It's a slower B-side.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's a beautiful,
one of my
beautiful
favorites.
song.
Their voices sound so great together.
To be honest, like I said, this one wasn't hard for me to pick Destroyer because, like I said, I listen to it all the time. If Destroyer didn't, like, happen, like, if that wasn't already my favorite, I would say either Secrets or Whispers in the Dark.
Whispers in the Dark is really good too.
I listen to those two on repeat all the time. Ugh, those are some great B-sides. But no, they have a lot of B-sides that I love. Like I said, Lost in the Dream is another really, really good one. And Underwater is also up there for me. Um, those are like, I wouldn't say super early albums, but those are like a few years ago. Like 2018, 2019, around there, those albums. Such good songs, such good songs. Love them so much. But yeah, The Dreaming is such a beautiful, uplifting kind of beautiful song, and
it was nice to just be able to hear them sing it in that movie.
Like I said, we went and watched the Monsta The Dreaming movie, and it was so nice to just sit there and be like, hey. And I was getting emotional during that movie. I cried a couple times, and they were getting emotional. I was like, no, I did not prepare for this.
We weren't ready.
We were not ready for this. How dare you? But yeah, we love our boys so much. Like, I honestly could go on and on about their music because, like I said, I've loved everything. Like, all their albums slap so hard. There are several songs from, like, their early albums that I'm like, I still am like, yes. Like, why was this not bigger? Like, especially, like, their B-sides. I'm like, why does nobody talk about this one?
Why was this unknown?
Right? We love Monsta X. Anything else you want to say about yours?
Nothing I can think of.
Alright, guys, I think that's it for us on this one. We hope you enjoyed our video, and like I said, let us know your guys' bias. Like I said, that's why we're doing these bias videos, not only to let you know our biases, but let us know yours. Let us know your favorite title tracks, your favorite B-sides. Give us your thoughts on these videos. Let us know, you know, how you got into groups, how you got into certain members or certain songs and all that. It's really fun to learn about you guys and to develop that, you know, communication. So do that. Before we go, though, we'll leave a link to our Patreon, Instagram, and our Twitter down below in the description box. If you can check us out, it really helps us out so much. Like, seriously, your support means the absolute world to us. Welcome to all of our new babies. You guys are seriously amazing. We love you, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.